Hey guys, this is Billy from AdultCello.com. I was today going to have part two of my Better Bow Hold series, but we're having an impromptu video because we just hit 5,000 subscribers on the channel, and I wanted to make a special video. First off, thank you so much. I'm so excited about this. What I want to do to kind of celebrate is I'm going to open up the comment section below on this video for a week. Write down any question you have about cello. It can be about equipment, about technique. It could be about me and my journey if that interests you, anything. And then in the near future, I will have either one or two videos that come out with my answers to all the questions. As a thank you to you guys for subscribing and watching my videos. I really appreciate it. And I have something even better planned for when I hit 10,000 subscribers. So if you haven't already, please do subscribe and like the videos. So in honor of the upcoming Q&A videos I'm going to be doing for 5,000 subscribers, I've got a great question from Jenna from a few days ago, and I'm going to go ahead and answer it here. I think it's a really great topic that's not talked about as much, but both questions definitely affected me. So let's dive right in. She writes, Billy, consider a video talking about musicianship. I've been watching cellists to get tips on two things. My face is a tell-all. You can see every tough passage or mess up on my face. I wasn't even conscious I was doing it. The other thing is during the performance, if I have a multi-measure rest, what do I do with myself, my bow, while another musician is playing? I know this isn't technically playing, but, you know, ... And it's true. It's kind of an awkward, you're just kind of sitting up there. So let's talk about the first side. I have a couple things I can relate to when it comes to the face. Okay, so first thing is, early on in my journey, I was always playing repertoire that was above my level because I was just always trying to level up and get as good as possible, as quickly as possible. Sometimes you'll see this, someone's playing, and as they're playing, their mouth is like, it's not even grimacing, it's just very active, like, almost like I had like a packed full of peanut butter and I'm just like trying to get it out of my teeth, like. And what it was I didn't have as much technique then, so I think I was just basically enlisting every muscle group in my entire body to get the music to come out of the cello. I'd see myself on video because I would, tape rehearsals. Sometimes my earlier performances I would tape and I'd see it. It really bothered me because it just looked, it really bothered me. So first off, I'm happy to say that as my technique got better, I think that was just a big part of the problem, was a big part of the solution rather, was just I got better, and so I felt more in control of what I was doing. So I think there was less of this need to, like, if I shift, like, make a weird mouth motion to help it help it along. The other thing I practiced, because I actually talked to one of my teachers about this because I really didn't like how it looked, he suggested that I practice and try performing with my mouth always open a little bit. Okay, so I'm not saying it's like that or anything, but just lips apart. And that really helped me because I think keeping my lips apart reminded me that the overall goal was to basically just relax my face when I'm playing. And that little cue, especially during practice, because you play how you practice. So doing that during practice and then trying to do it while I performed really helped kind of control all the business that was going on. So that's one side of it. Now, what you're talking about is related, which is, basically you miss a shift, you play a note out of tune, and your face just shows the disgust you feel on the inside. Okay, this is interesting for adult learners because I think a big part of this is specific to adult learners, which is we kind of it's almost like a psychological need to tell the audience that I know that was out of tune. You know what I mean? So it's like, trust me, I can hear it. I'm sorry, okay? That was terrible. And there was a little bit of that. Fortunately, my ear wasn't as finely tuned as it is now after all these years. So I think a lot of the atrocious intonation I had early on, it didn't affect me the way it would affect another person with better ear who starts off. But I really think you have to look at it from a different angle. So I think that the fear is that if you kind of keep a poker face and you mess up and you don't grimace or convey it to the audience, the underlying fear is that they're going to hear you mess up and then they're like, oh my God, she didn't even flinch. Like, she didn't even know she messed up. Like, what an amateur. And it's actually, to me, it's the opposite. So if I see someone playing and they're fully involved in the music and then they just totally biff on like a shift or something, a weird squawking sound, but they just stay in the moment, you know, it happens. Like, mistakes happen, and if you're not flustered by it, it's going to be that much easier for your audience to stay in the moment because you didn't pull them out of the moment by like, oh, you know, and some look like that, like, oh God, sorry guys, you know, this, you know. So I think that's a big part of it, is just kind of realizing that the audience is on your side. You want to play great. They want you to play great. And so if you don't transmit these little mistakes to them, if they don't notice, why would you alert them anyway? You know, maybe what to you was a big mistake, they don't even really hear it that way. So there's no reason that, by the way, that didn't go how I wanted it. You don't want to tell them that. And if they did hear it, it's not going to help to be like, yeah, I heard it too, I did it, sorry about that, you know. So that's just my thoughts on that. I think it'll get better the more you kind of maybe see it from a different angle versus practicing with like a certain facial expression so to guard against it, because it's really, I think it comes from like more of a psychological place that need to be like, ugh, you know. So that's what I have to say about that. And now my second and the favorite question, like, what do you do when, let's say you're in a sonata or a concerto's maybe even worse? Like, I mean, the Dvorak concerto, for example, if you get to a place where, let's say you're going to play that with an orchestra or even with a pianist, and they play the whole intro, it's like 3.5 minutes and you're just sitting there. You know, or in a sonata, you get that too, where there's like a long break where the pianist is, you know, playing and you're just sitting there. What I try to do is to almost act like I'm an audience member at that point. So I'm listening along. I try to let myself move a little bit. Like, I'm not going to dance if it, you know, or like do big gestures that are going to take away, because I'm not the one performing at the moment. So let's say it's a sonata and the pianist is to my side or behind me. I'm going to be like just moving along and just listening and enjoying the music. Obviously, you're going to know how the music goes because you've been practicing, you know, the piece. So you're just kind of like an audience member. You happen to be on stage. Okay, that's how I kind of think of it. And I'm just trying not to do anything that's going to draw attention to me, but staying completely stiff will draw attention to you, because it's like, why is he so nervous? Why is he so stiff? So it's just, you know, you just kind of like just fade into the background is what I think about doing. And then some other things that I see people do, or that I myself did, that I would warn against. What I did is I would finish a big section, and then there's like an interlude before I come in again, and I would unconsciously just kind of like, oh God, that was hard, you know. And I'm not saying anything, but I'm kind of rolling my shoulder out, doing all the things I want to do, because it feels good to, you know, roll your neck. It doesn't look good on stage. So that would be the one thing, is like, you know, kind of stretching or doing those kind of things. The other thing I see people do is they kind of don't know what to do. So I've seen that, you know, they'll just kind of like, instead of fixating at a point on the wall, like just above the audience, they'll maybe sort of like scan the audience. And then it's just really easy to accidentally lock eyes with someone, and it's just super bizarre, because you're now staring at someone, but you're on stage and you're just staring at one person. And it actually happened to me while I was in the audience, and I was, you know, so that I wouldn't do that either. Keep in mind, the final thing I'll say is that when we're on stage, just in general, you're gonna have so much more adrenaline. If you think about it, it's so bizarre to be on stage. I mean, I think, historically, if ever it was a situation like that, that means, we're tribal by nature. So it's like if you're on one side and your entire tribe is on the other side, that's usually the time like you're about to get kicked out of your tribe. That's why we feel so much pressure when we're on stage, is because everyone's looking at you. It's really unnatural. So because of that, the other thing that can happen is you start moving at like hyperspeed because there's a lot of adrenaline, and maybe you need to change, when you first sit down, you're like, I got to get this rock stop under the chair, and everyone's staring at me, and this thing's like unfolding slowly, and then it's really easy to have kind of fast, nervous movements on stage just because you're sort of amped up. What I worked on and still think about to this day is, if I'm on stage, just moving very slowly and deliberately, because I know from experience now that if I'm just, okay, sit here, okay, now I'll take the bow, place it here, look up, to me that feels so slow, especially with the adrenaline going, but it looks correct. Okay, so that's the other thing I would say is, especially if you're listening to like the pianist in the sonata we're talking about, he or she is performing, and you need to like check something. If you move really fast, someone's gonna think you're like pulling a gun or something. You know what I mean? It's just really easy does it, and slow and steady on stage. So there you go, Jenna. I hope that helps you, and I hope it helps everyone else watching. I look forward to answering your questions in a future video, and I'll see you next week. Thanks so much.